Hi everyone, get ready with me as I prepare to go for my first hiking experience at Tinto Hill. I am really excited, and this was me preparing my kids together, dancing. I mean, whenever I'm excited, I do so many funny dances. Yeah, this was one of them. Just dancing, listening to music, and all. I'm gonna dance some more. Some people say stop. The way you pray is too much. But I say no. I'm gonna pray some more. When this is stop. The way you shout is too much. I say no. I'm gonna shout some more. Listen. When this is stop. So the ride to Tintori was very fun. We played games, and guys, it was so windy.
Okay, so we've arrived at Victoria. Okay, the evening. Very soon we're going up. It's so windy. Like the wind is about to blow me. Yeah, and it's very cold. Thank God I layered up. I mean, I was a bit skeptical about it. I don't think it's a color my winter jacket. Let's see.
So when we got to Tinto Hill, we had to wait for the rest of the team to arrive in their different cars, and I just decided to spend the time walking around, taking pictures, just admiring the beauty of the environment. It was a very beautiful place. Like nature came out in all its glory, and it was cold, it was windy. My pictures came out so great. I was really happy about that.
And it's cold. Like, can you see the way the wind is blowing me away? I just love I love the scene around here. Like, the landscape is so beautiful.
By this time, the rest of the team had arrived, and of course, we exchanged greetings, and everyone started preparing to ascend the hill. Yeah, so you can see everyone behind me, and then we got to the entrance. We're going in into the gate. The gate says, "You can do it." Of course, we could do it. So these were the maps. We checked them, and we started climbing. So we started climbing, and of course, my energy was very high because I was excited. I was like, "Oh, finally doing it!" I brought out my tripod, and I was like, "Okay, let's do this." If only I knew that this journey.
Come a long way.
So we kept on climbing, and the funny thing was that with each climb, with each step, it looked as if the hill kept going further, and at some point, I was like, who sent me? Started questioning my life choices. At another point, it was too late to run
Then they are
back
moving.
because we had really come a long way, and of course, I couldn't stay midway. I had to just keep going. I had to keep going. I think hiking is something that will definitely test your resilience, and it will force you to just to force determination out of, because what you want to do, you can't give up. If you give up, you have to still get down, or you have to get to the peak. So we kept on going. I was like, so by the time I sat down, I was panting heavily. I was really exhausted. So everyone tried to catch some break before we continued.
That's an ambient over there. What is Ah, man.
And now the weather had changed. There's something about the Scottish weather. It is very mercurial. Like you could be having a sunny day, and in the split of an eye, in the split of a moment, in the twinkle of an eye, it changes to a rainy day, to a windy day. Like the weather is very, very volatile. That is why you are always advised to dress for every weather, always prepare for every weather. So at this point, it was already drizzling. I had to bring out my glasses. I had to cover myself with my jacket hood now, just so we could see. And then we still kept trudging forward. That is that the wind on the hill was very strong. If you look closely at the videos, you will see that my clothes, my jacket was being blown stronger. You will see the way the glasses were being blown fiercely. The wind was so strong that it could throw you off. It could literally lift you off if you are not well balanced. So at this point, I just knew I could not continue by myself. I had to bring out my hiking stick from my backpack. I mean, I needed energy. Like I told you, the more you go, the more you start to get tired. Except if you have done it before, but that was my very first time. I knew I needed support, so I bought out my hiking stick, and people were like, "Caroline, you really came prepared for this." I said, "You bet it, I did." So as I kept climbing, I kept thinking of the words apps, apps, recipes, crevice, and all these things. You know, I grew up reading so many books that were based abroad, like Americas, Britain, and all. And some of my favorites then were all these country life, like the traditional life where they talk about mountain, nature, and everything. So me doing this, those words started to make sense. Like this looks like what a recipe should look like. This look like what can help. This looks like prairie and everything. It felt like I was really living in my childhood dreams.
It keeps changing.
Did you hear what I just said? The peak keeps changing because Anna was the one who was leading, and she told us that the peak was just there. We need to just climb a little more and then return. So excitedly, I did that, hoping that finally we get to the end of this, only for us to get to where she called the peak, and we realized that our journey had only just begun. I wanted to cry. So at that point, everyone was practically exhausted, and we just had to sit to recover our breath. And of course, we took pictures because then we were definitely very high up. It was it was fun, but it was tiring at the same time. And at this point, I must say that this hiking made me really appreciate the wonders of God the more. Because when I looked at the greenery, I looked at the valleys, I looked at the different peaks, the joining between two peaks, the beauty of them, the perfection of them. Even the blind would know that there's a divine being somewhere who designed these things, that these things did not just come to be. They were so beautiful, so mind blowing. Like you just wonder, how did these things come to be? How did they come to form?
Okay, well, they said that the peak is not far again. Let's go.
Finally, we got to the peak of Tinto Hill, and I took these pictures from the peak. Of course, some people went to climb where you were saying, but no, I do not want to take that risk because the breeze at that point, it's if it blows you away, you would find yourself tumbling down. I do not like to take risk. But we got to the peak, and there we sat down for picnic. Now that we
And I was going back
successfully
to
reached the peak of
my
Tinto
making the
Hill,
descent.
it was time for us
Very much
to
excited. And
make our descent
so
back.
while coming up, I got
I was so excited. As much as I enjoyed the
that's the objective.
experience, I could not wait to be back on main ground. Just like every return trip, the descent from Tintoyu was very fast. I guess because we were
Make it now.
excited and then the worst was already behind us. So it was fast. And when we got to the gate, you saw Tinto done.
And the
I
item is
was
back
so
there. So
happy. I was so
these are my
excited to be
keys.
back on main ground. And then we drove
Oh,
somewhere to get fresh milk from Scottish cows. We bonded on our way back, and that was it.